Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Hall and I am in the Educational Specialist Program in Instructional Technology at Kennesaw State University. My capstone project is titled Empowering Teachers with Data Using Technology. I would like to provide a little background information about me. My name is Jennifer Hall and I have been in education for 9 years, where I have taught in the classroom while integrating technology and providing technology training for others. I am a military spouse and have just recently moved to South Korea with my family. I am in the process of interviewing for the educational technologist position with the Dodd school system here in Korea. My previous experiences have been teaching in the state of Georgia for 5 years, teaching in Alaska for 2 years, and Alabama for an additional 2 years. During this time, I provided redelivery on the use of smartboards in the classroom for my school and for other elementary schools in the district. While working in Alabama with a DoDEA school system, I was able to coach colleagues on the use of technology in the classroom by modeling, working with teachers one-on-one, and providing feedback as needed on their use of technology in the classroom. While in Alaska, I represented my school at district training meetings on the use of technology, especially smartboards and iPads. I developed professional developments on each and delivered this to the teachers at the school. For 1 year, I was part of a pilot program in the third grade using one-to-one iPads with students. My personal education and trainings: I am a 2001 graduate of Georgia Southern University, where I received my bachelor's degree in child and family development. I then received my master's in early childhood education from Armstrong State University in 2005. I am currently a candidate for the Educational Specialist degree in Instructional Technology at Kennesaw State University. Just a little background information about the school I have been working with, Colonel Johnston Elementary School. It is located on Fort Huachuca, Arizona, which is the headquarters of the Army's military intelligence. Fort Huachuca is located about 12 miles from the Mexico-United States border. Colonel Johnston is a pre-K through second grade school, which has approximately 374 students. This number fluctuates daily due to the high transit rate at the school. A majority of students are military dependents, with at least one member of their family serving in the United States military or from a visiting foreign military. This school is part of the Huachuca Accommodation School District, which was founded just for the schools on the Army base. Currently, there are 3 schools on the base, with plans of a high school being built in the future. Due to an increase in the presence of different foreign military, the school population consists of students from 12 different countries, with students ranging from 1 to 3 years of living at Fort Huachuca. Currently, about 40% of students qualify for free or reduced meals at the school. As I was looking at the needs of the school, I noticed many existing programs not being utilized by teachers. This school has recently developed professional learning communities to promote discussions about data analysis within the school. These communities were having a difficult time working with data because in the last 5 years, this school has had 4 principals, 12 new teachers, and has had to meet the needs of a transient population of students that on average move every 3 years. Because of these changes, programs that were available were often not being utilized fully due to a lack of training and time. Teachers were eager to determine the best ways to monitor their students' learning. So a pre-survey was used to determine if there was interest in an online professional development that would show how to use programs already at the school to gain data on their students. There was an overwhelming response of interest, and so the project was developed. When developing the project timeline, it was important for me to see how the project would begin and what my goals were for the end of the project. So in November, I began surveying teachers to determine their need for using data in the school. The data from those surveys supported the needs of tutorials, explaining how to use data from programs that our school already had available. Through this, I began researching programs so that development of the training could begin in February. During this time, the tutorials were developed, and in March, teachers were able to have access to the training and participate in online forums. By March, the plan was to survey teachers and record and analyze the data. Again in May, teachers would be surveyed and follow-ups would be initiated through the results of the data. So this was my plan at the beginning of the project. My evaluation plan was to use Google surveys to survey teachers before the training to determine their needs in using data and how often the programs were being utilized. They would take another survey immediately after the training with 3 extra questions about the professional development and another survey 2 months after to determine the long-term use of these programs. Additional feedback would be gathered for evaluation from the interactions of the online forums. This would give me an indication of where teachers were having difficulties or needed extra support. At the end of the project, data from the program's use could be compared to the initial use of the programs. This would give us an idea of how the programs were being used and by which teachers. The description of my capstone project began with collaboration between administration and the instructional technologist. Then the professional development was researched and developed. As it was implemented, teachers participated in the professional development, and evaluation and follow-up occurred after the professional learning. I began the planning meetings by meeting with administration and the instructional technologist to first get permission to work with the teachers. I am not an employee of the school, so it was important that I had the support of the administration to work with teachers. I shared the results of the pre-survey with them, and they agreed that using these programs would benefit teachers by gaining data. Because these were not new programs, we all felt that the best way to implement the trainings were through blended learning, where teachers used online resources, online forums, and then had one-on-one support as follow-up to the programs. At the follow-up meeting with the instructional technologist, we analyzed feedback to determine what to emphasize during the trainings. We also discussed which programs to focus on. Originally, we were going to use 5 different programs. However, 3 of the programs were being phased out and new programs to take their place had not been decided. So we determined that the training would be developed for Go Math and Lexia Core 5. The trainings would be housed on a Weebly website, and Google Hangouts would be used for the online forums. For the development of the online training, we used the Weebly site buildondata.weebly.com to house the trainings. This allowed teachers to participate in the trainings at home or at work. Each component of each screencast was researched and guide manuals were used to understand the components. This was important when determining which forms would give teachers the most data about their students. In the Go Math program, screencasts were developed using Screenomatic for an introduction PowerPoint, overview of resources, summative assessment tools, formative assessment tools, and an at-home component. Also included with these tutorials was a Google Hangout for an online forum so teachers could share information about what they are learning. In Lexia Core 5 program, screencast tutorials were developed for lessons, skill builders, instructional connections, reports, and home connections. Also, with this program, a separate Google Hangout was used. For implementation, we dispersed flyers to share with teachers the professional development opportunity. These flyers promoted a brief meeting to share about the professional development and how they could participate. During this meeting, the process of the professional development was discussed, including tutorials, forums, surveys, and follow-up support. This was also a time where teachers let us know who would be participating in the professional learning. For the evaluation piece, Google surveys were used before, after, and 2 months after, with teachers utilizing the professional development. The feedback from these surveys were compared to determine if the professional development supported teachers, where they would use these programs to gather data for their students. In Go Math and Lexia, we compared the surveys, and we also compared the information we were getting from the software on who was using the program. Although percentages fluctuated, we were able to see that teachers were using the programs the most 2 months after the professional development. Through teacher feedback, we contributed some of this increase to providing one-on-one support of teachers after they finished the tutorials. We also gathered information through the online forums and were able to determine where the teachers needed additional support. The follow-up component of this project we felt was critical. For many of the teachers at the school, this was the first professional development they participated in that was not entirely face-to-face. We wanted to provide as much support for them as possible so that they would be open to participating in more online professional developments in the future. So to ensure that the teachers had additional support, the instructional technologists and I met with each participant either in a group setting or one-on-one according to their request. These meetings were at the informational meeting, during the training, and after the training. For about 50% of the participants, we also met one more time where they could ask specific questions on reports or programs for certain students. These participants either verbally expressed a desire for additional coaching, or their follow-up survey showed the need for further assistance. Through this feedback, teachers shared how they enjoyed the use of online professional development. They shared that they felt greater control over the development because they were able to start and stop the tutorials to match their needs. They also shared that meeting face-to-face with them allowed them to apply what they had learned while being able to ask questions or give and get feedback. In researching for this project, Doring and Robler shared that to use technology effectively as solutions, one must have knowledge of classroom problems, practice in addressing them, and an in-depth understanding of each technology. Through this professional development, these were my goals: survey the teachers to determine their needs, provide opportunities for them to learn how to use the programs to meet their needs, and to follow up support for teachers to ensure they have an in-depth understanding of each. My own professional growth through this program and project has been tremendous. I have been challenged by learning new technological tools, methods of promoting technology integration, and learning how to use technology for effective learning in the classroom. I have seen what goes into planning for technology use in the school, from the brainstorming start to the implementation and follow-up. Colonel Johnston has unique challenges to data due to students moving frequently with the military, a lack of standardized assessments for this age group in the state of Arizona, and being a small district where schools in nearby districts serve students whose needs do not always match the needs of military children. This project had several hurdles through its development. Google Hangouts were used for online forums and were not utilized as much as we had hoped due to being a format that many teachers were unfamiliar with. It was our initial goal for teachers to get credits for participating in the tutorials. However, due to a change in administration, we were unable to do this. Finally, the amount of programs we hoped to feature was reduced from 5 to 2 due to changing programs in the school. Because of the successful feedback from these programs, when new programs were introduced, tutorials on them will be added to the school server for teacher support. I could not have learned as much as I have through this project without the assistance of Colonel Johnston's instructional technologist, Lisa Graham. She helped guide me through the development process and continuously made me think of ideas in a new way. I am a better educator because of these interactions.